U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken is in Beijing today. It's the first visit by an American cabinet-level official since 2019. Now, bilateral relations have been notably strained amidst an air of ramped-up competition between the U.S. and China recently. And in the lead-up to the visit, Chinese officials, state media, academics, they all played up the notion that the U.S. had been the most eager to meet. But Beijing has also seemed to have its own reasons for détente with the U.S. Chinese officials say it's priority for leader Xi Jinping to attend an annual summit of Asian-Pacific leaders in San Francisco this year and possibly a meeting with President Biden. Now, to get more into these issues, big picture stuff, we're joined by Tommy Steiner, political director of Signal and international affairs expert. So thanks for being with us. Look, while preparing for Blinken's visit, the Chinese leadership displayed, I think, the need to explain to the domestic audience a bit why it appears to be shifting to re-engage with the Americans after months of blaming the U.S. for all the worsening bilateral ties. Does a warm welcome to Blinken sort of conflict with the recent positions taken by Beijing?
Well, to some extent, yes, but also no. Beijing, by the way, leading up, from the previous discussion you just had, Beijing is well known to be pragmatic when it needs to be. And in that respect, both Beijing and Washington have their own respective interests in showing some sign of re-engagement, some sort of discussion between the parties, because it serves their own interests respectively. And it's very simple in that respect.
It feels more tense than it has in decades, at least, between the U.S. and China. Look, but unlike previous decades, China's an established and ascending global military power at this point. Is this a low point in bilateral ties?
Well, first of all, there have been several low points over the past few years. I wouldn't characterize Beijing or China at this point as a global military power. I don't think that China sees itself as such. I wouldn't exaggerate to that point. Especially, it's far from being on par with the United States in that respect. But there is an important military angle, or military-to-military angle in this visit, because the Americans have made it very clear that one of the few deliverables they would like to come home with is to indicate some sort of reopening of military-to-military communications between the two countries, especially as military tensions are increasing, and the Chinese military has been engaging in activities that the Americans rightfully have described as, or characterized as, rather provocative. Flying very close, in close proximity to U.S. Warships, to U.S. warplanes, penetrating the air zone around Taiwan, all sorts of military deployments in the South China Sea. So that military aspect is very important. And U.S. officials have made it very clear that they hope that one of the deliverables they hope to obtain during these meetings in Beijing is, in fact, restoring military-to-military communications between the two countries.
Certainly of paramount importance among many of the issues here. Thanks for being with us on this. Tommy Steiner.
Thank you for having me.